even though there should have been a penalty because of the handball, because VAR looked at it and went...
You see, obviously, the thing is with that one, we've seen penalties been given for less, but we've seen penalties not been given, even though they've done far more. And obviously, he was very close to Pepe when the ball hit his arm, but I can actually see there is intent from Kevin. Is it Kevin Friend? Yeah, it's Kevin Friend. There is intent for him. You can see his body is moving towards the ball. You can actually see it, but he is very close to Pepe, and maybe that's what I think VAR are saying. He doesn't have a time to react. But if you actually look back at the replay,
if you want about the player, it's Eric Peters.
It's Eric Peters, yeah.
Kevin Friend's a referee.
Kevin Friend's a referee, bro.
No. Kevin Friend's a player.
No, it's not.
Kevin Friend's a referee. It's Eric Peters, the player. Eric Peters is the one at the handball.
Yeah, Eric Peters used to play for Stoke, bro. He used to play for Stoke and then Burnley signed him. Kevin Friend is the ref.
Kevin Friend's the ref. So I've written down that like Eric Peters has had the maddest like half hour of his life, and I've got so much written down here. So he had a 30-yard volley, like superbly tipped over by Leno. He then got a yellow card for a pretty hard tackle. Then he had the penalty appeal, which
is a penalty.
If we're going on what's happened this season, I think it is a penalty.
Yeah.
Just because of what's happened this season. If you ignore what's happened this season, normally I'd say no because he's a yard away from him. The second time, he's had the most brilliant goal line clearance I think I've ever seen in my entire life on the top of his shoulder. And he had a red card rescinded, all in the space of half an hour.
Yeah, it literally got sent off, rescinded, not a penalty, but then should have given a penalty away because it's handball. The only reason I say it's 100% a penalty is because your Cooksloo jumps up for the ball, hits his hand, it's a penalty. Hudson-Odoi jumps for the ball with his arm up, hits his hand, not a penalty. And then this one happens, and it's not a penalty, but I'm pretty sure last week there was a penalty for handball when it grazed somebody's arm again. And I'm like, make your mind up on what is and what isn't a penalty, fam. Like, through the whole VAR situation, just...
Hang on. Are you saying this is a penalty then, Jim?
What?
Are you saying this? So Eric Peters, is it Eric Peters?
Yeah.
Kevin Friend?
No.
Peters? Okay. So are you saying Eric Peters, that's a penalty?
Yeah.
It's the exact same concept of Hudson-Odoi with the Greenwood situation.
I just said it was a penalty. But yeah, I just said it was a penalty.
Said last week it wasn't a penalty.
No, there was an incident last week with a handball that wasn't Hudson-Odoi. That was a penalty.
On the podcast last week, you said it wasn't a penalty.
You said the Greenwood and
No. Please go back and listen to it because I said under the current circumstances it is a penalty, but I see why he hasn't given it because Greenwood's lifted his arm as well. That's what I've said.
And you said it was not a penalty though. The overall conclusion is not a penalty.
Yeah, because this isn't a penalty. This one, like Alex says, scrap VAR, scrap the weird rules. It's not a pen. Same as your Cooksloo's one. It's not a pen. He's just jumped forward like that and it's brushed his hand. They're not penalties. That's not the way. But under the new law, they're all penalties. Every single one of them is a pen. But like last week, he didn't give the penalty. And the only reason I can think of it is because Greenwood lifted his arm at the same time. And obviously we agreed to disagree on that. But this one, there's no other person in contention for the ball. And he still hasn't given a penalty. I'm like, but you need...
It's so close. The ball's been hit so close.
But you need consistency. The thing is, if the balls come flying over...
That is consistent. They've not gave a penalty.
But it's not because the balls come...
Not for the rest of the season.
Yeah, the balls come flying over.
Exactly like that I've been given this season.
Yeah.
And that one hasn't. Like I said, if you go on what should have been happening this season, it should be a penalty.
Yeah.
If you scrap the handball law that's just come in recently or from last season and scrap VAR, normally every referee would say that's not a penalty because he's a yard away, you can't get the way of it. But with the new rules, where if it's not like a natural body position, which Eric Peters isn't because his arms are up here, if you're defending, they're down here, but they're up here and it's hit the arm, it's a penalty.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what we were saying. It's not consistent because the penalty against Albion, the ball's come flying over. Your Cooksloo's jumped and it's hit his hand and he's gone handball. But the ball's come flying over in the Man U game. Hudson-Odoi's done that and it's not a penalty. That's not consistent.
Yeah, the differences between your Kuxlu and Adoi, even though Adoi should have been a penalty, your Kuxlu's jumping in the air anyway, but he's not really seen, but his arm's up in the air anyway. Obviously, so I can understand why that was given a penalty. But Adoi, he literally puts you see his arm raise up to the ball in slow motion.
Yeah, but
which is
it's inconsistent.
you
That's
see
what I'm
all
saying.
that-
But that's agreeing our point. It's not consistent enough.
It's not consistent enough. You just said that's the issue. It's just not consistent.
I'm saying it's consistent because they haven't, obviously from last week and this week, because they haven't given Eric Peters penalty. So that's
I know, but it's
consistent.
not consistent all season. That's the
They
difference.
changed the rule a few like weeks before the Kuxlu penalty anyway. So they've
They've
changed the
also
rule.
changed it last week after the Fulham game because of like if it's an accidental handball and it leads to a goal, it doesn't count as a handball
yeah.
anymore. You can't keep changing it. You have to be so much more consistent with it. It's
This
just
is
wrong.
the issue we're saying. It's just not consistent at all. Because under the new rules, they're all penalty. Every single one is a penalty, no matter what it is. Every single one.
I think-
And I will say that.
I think Peters is not a penalty, but I think the Adois was a penalty
But it
But
has
why?
to be. But it
What's the
has to be a
difference?
penalty.
because you see Callum Hudson-Odoi properly lift his arm up, trying to balance the ball on the back of his hand.
But is
and
he
then-
not just lifting his hand to go in front of Greenwood and it happens to hit his hand
No.
there?
See, I don't.
Of course you
I
do.
don't-
If he was
Of
doing that-
course.
If he was doing that, he would have put his arm on him. Easy.
That's
He
what
would
you.
have stretched his arm out.
So I think me and
Arm
Alex.
Was
I think me and Alex are in agreement here. What Hudson-Odoi's doing is grabbing Greenwood's arm to pull him back so he can get in front of him. That's what he's doing. As Greenwood's running like this, Hudson-Odoi's done that to grab his arm and pull him back, and that's what he's done. And just in the sequence
not
of
grab him
events
to help?
happening, he,
how has he grabbed him? He didn't grab him. He didn't touch him.
bro, his
Yeah, because
hand is on
Greenwood's
his
arms come
arm.
back.
Yeah,
Greenwood's arms come back because he's running. Hudson-Odoi's arms gone forward because he's running. It's just so Hudson-Odoi looks like he's tried to grab him, but because of the way they're running naturally, their arms just go in different directions.
Tried to grab him. He's tried to get the ball. 100%.
he hasn't optionally gone to handball the ball, bro. He hasn't. That's accidental.
Yeah, but also, if you talk about Eric Peters, like I said, it has to be a natural body position. That's the rule. The law is if your arms are in an unnatural body position, his arms are up here. They're not by his side. His arms are up here.
The replace arms are down.
But his hand,
arms are
even
down.
Eric
even if
Peters-
he's
his arms, they're not up here. They're up here. That's not natural. It has to be down here.
also
And like you've seen penalties given this season with the arms up here, it's exactly the same. There's just no consistency with
yeah,
it.
because
It's frustrating.
It wasn't up straight. It was down. It was like a consistent angle.
but if his
It's not
arms
a
are down,
natural body position.
I've seen it as well. I've seen it as well. And if his arms are down by his side, why are they poking out a bit then? Like if they're down by your side and you're defending, they're down. Why are they lifted forward a bit? Like he's gonna cup the ball, but he's
you're
not.
defending
He's
that,
not. He's not.
You have your arms like that. It helps give you.
Yeah, it helps give you balance, but it's still hit
Dale,
his
look
arm.
at that picture. His arm's up. It's not by his side.
That's what.
And
That
out.
was when he,
What'd you say, Zoe?
that's when he lifted it up to try and get the ball out the way. That was after.
Yeah, but his
literally
arm's still up. But his arm's
bounced
still
off.
up and it's hit it there.
Pepe,
What's
Pepe,
happened-
in that
happened is-
screenshot,
I agree. That
there.
I agree. If you take it back 2 years ago, it's not a penalty because Pepe's only a yard away. But in the new rules, it has to be.
In that screenshot right there, Pepe hasn't even controlled the ball yet. That ball's coming to Pepe because the way Pepe's foot is, he hasn't even controlled the ball, and Eric Peters' arm is forward and up. It's not a natural.
The ball's hitting it there. Pepe's hit the ball at him.
No, in that screenshot there, Pepe is about to flick the ball.
Oh, in that screenshot, that ball has come from.
Yeah, in that
Pepe.
screenshot, Pepe's tried to flick it up. But like I said, Eric Peters' arm is up and out. It's not a natural body position.
It's consistency. That's what we're getting now. We're getting consistency.
It's not consistent though.
But it's not altogether this season.
It's
Yes,
consistent.
it's consistent from
Right.
this week to last week, but you can't say it's
3
consistent this
weeks
week to last
ago.
week when you compare it to the Fulham one, where it hit him on the side and his arm's literally on the side of his body and it's been disallowed.
Bro, 3 weeks ago, your Cooksley was given handball. That was 3 weeks ago.
That was handball, though. You shouldn't be heading with your arm out in front of you like you're Superman.
You shouldn't be defending with your arm out in front of you like you're Superman.
He's not, because if you're Superman, it'd be up in the air.
But it is up in the air, it's here.
Oh, if it'd be over his head, it's not over his head. It's on his side, like Alex said.
Yeah, but even then, and we'll move on because
It's lasting too long.
It's just not going to be an agreeable situation. It's just not. Yeah, it's consistent between this week. And it's consistent between these two specific incidents, but as an overall, it's just not.
Bro, you know when?
That's
Okay.
why I'm gonna argue. If we could rewind time and the Callum Hudson-Odoi penalty was given, I'd agree with you. But because it's not, it's technically it's consistency, and we're starting
Yeah,
to
from
Okay.
one week to another, but overall, it's not. That's
Okay,
what I'm
then.
getting at.
VAR had a solid weekend,
Right.
So,
The game.
because of Peter's decision later, where it was a red card and a penalty when he hit his shoulder, when it was not a red card and not a penalty. Quality.
Yeah, they got that decision right, but they got the first decision wrong. Like, look at when.
Because of how close Pepe is.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter
how
under the
close
new
it is anymore.
rules.
That's not part of the rule anymore.
That's not the rules.
That close, they could kiss each other.
Yeah, that's not in the rules anymore.
That's not the rules.
It's still too close.
But it's not the rules.
It's not in the rules though. You can say he's as close as you want. You can say he's literally kissing him and putting the ball on him with his foot in his arm. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's not in the rules
But is that
anymore.
close? He's not able to get in a natural position, Eric Peters. Anyway,
That doesn't matter. 'Cause
no.
he's not in a natural
Bro,
position. You've just said he's not in a natural position.
Bro.
he can't get into a natural position because
Yeah,
Pepe's
but-
that
yeah.
close.
Yeah, he can't get in a natural position, but he's not in a natural position. That's the argument.
The rule doesn't.
Because Pepe's that close, he can't get himself into a natural position.
Yes, but
So that's
he
therefore-
can't get himself
Pepe's
into
that
one, but he's
close.
not in one.
Yeah, but because Pepe's that close.
Yes
he
or no?
can't.
Is he in a natural position? Yes or no? Simple question. Yes or no? Is he in a natural position?
Yes.
He's
But
not.
you just said he
100%
wasn't.
not. You just said he wasn't because he said he can't get in a natural position.
It's because Alex gave me a yes or no question. That's why.
Yeah,
But you
and-
just-
yeah, but
you
you just
just
said
said-
he can't get into a natural position. You've just contradicted yourself because you said he can't get into one, but
Right.
you said he's in one. So
The
which
point.
Yes.
is it? Whatever.
The point I was going to make is about the consistency, right? The game, Semi J got sent off. Yeah, when he got sent off. During that game, they should have had a penalty because Bartley jumped forward for the ball and his arms were by his side, but his arms were backwards and the ball hit his arm. But he'd lunged forward for the ball. Now, under the current law, that is a penalty. But theoretically, it's not because he's just lunged for the ball, misjudged the ball, and it's hit his arm. He's gone for it with his chest and his belly, missed the ball, and it's glanced past him and hit his arm. How
I'd
VAR
argue
looked,
that's right because he's in a natural position.
but how VAR looked at that and went, "That's not a penalty," and then looked at the Yakuxlu one and said it is a penalty, is beyond me because they're both theoretically the same thing. Yakuxlu's jumped forward for the ball, but jumped to try and header it and put his arm up for balance, but it still hit his arm. Same as Bartley, he's jumped forward and put his arms back to balance him, and it's hit his arm. One is a pen, one isn't a pen, and it's too inconsistent. That's the issue.
You literally just hit the nail on the coffin. He's Superman in one, and the other one isn't. That's the difference. When you
But
jump
it's the
in,
same theory.
when you jump, you're not jumping with your arms in the air. So you start your jump off like that, don't you? And you push down. That's how you jump. So your arms go above you, and you push down with all your might, and your arms come down.
Yes.
Your Cooksloo is going, Superman. Whoa,
Because-
that's literally
no,
what he's doing. That's
because
why
he's
a penalty.
but he's behind a player. He's behind a player trying to get in front of him to put pressure on him. He's just lost his player and he's jumped forwards and his arms on his shoulder.
His
He's
arm
literally-
shouldn't be on his shoulder. His arm shouldn't be on his
Yeah,
shoulder.
he shouldn't be on. He shouldn't be on his shoulder at all.
Then it's a penalty.
That's your Cooksloo's issue.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
put
it's a
himself. Yeah, so I'm saying it is a penalty.
Yeah,
But the
because
issue,
in an unnatural position.
No,
but the issue is Bartley's jumped forward for the ball and his arms have done that because his momentum swung him forward. That's
but
not
that's a natural
natural.
position. It is. If you're going forward and you're pushing forward, your arms are already back.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I've mixed up my point. So, yeah, that is a natural position. The ball still hit his arm regardless. And for me, if I'm jumping up for a header, which doesn't happen usually, but if I'm jumping up for a header and there's somebody in front of me, I am jumping with my arms up to try and get in front of them because I'm battling. And it happens
Yeah, but
all
I'd
the
argue
time.
that's not a natural position.
But when
'Cause in the
Dianya...
rules of the game, you're not even meant to.
Yeah, but that's
We
what
need
I mean.
to move on because we have talked about this like 20
I know.
minutes.
Hold on. I just went. But when Dianya scored his header, his hands were all over Lindelof, but wasn't called for a foul or anything. It's a natural position because he's fighting to get in front of Lindelof. as well as your Cuxloos fighting to try and stop the player.
Maguire was fighting at the back post and he got a header and it was disallowed.
Yeah.
So it all comes down to the referee and VAR assistants at that game. So let's move on to the nil.